The biggest issue that we all have is we react. And I always say, don't react, respond. Take time to actually think what you're going to say, think what you're going to do. Most problems, I mean, people get killed over overreacting or reacting to a situation, or, oh, when you said that, I'm going to fight you. And now all of a sudden, your world gets flipped upside down. Reacting is one of those things that's so dangerous. And from a manifestation level.
Welcome to the Power of Influence. My name is John Haremza. I am your host. Super excited here today. We have Adonis. Adonis, you are an influencer, right?
Yep.
You're into manifestation, and I'm totally into that. I think back to, really when you think about it, all the way back to Napoleon Hill. Right?
Yes.
When he, Think and Grow Rich, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, essentially that's manifestation, right?
100%. Absolutely.
And you have you're an author as well.
Yep.
And we'll drop a link on all this stuff, guys, so you can follow him and you can get his information. But this is phenomenal. We'll talk about this, see what's all going on there. But anyway, I want to kind of get going. I know you're living here in Vegas.
Yeah, been here 4 years now. The place
4 years.
It's been amazing. What about yourself?
Actually, I moved here in 2019. So I've been here, what is that, 6 years now? And I started out with, in an apartment, just trying to think, do I like it here?
Yes.
And I grew up in Minnesota, have a lake cabin there for the last 20 years. And, getting out of the bugs and the cold weather just absolutely love it here.
Same, yeah.
And so how about you? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast, like in a little suburb outside of Philadelphia. After high school, I moved to San Diego, hung out there for a little bit. It was cool.
That's a big departure.
Yeah, big change, absolutely. And then once I met my wife, we actually moved up to North Idaho. And same thing,
Idaho.
Yeah, okay. Idaho. I mean, we're talking that was a whole different experience, living in the middle of nowhere. I built my own log cabin. It was a crazy experience. But it's funny when you said that, the cold, the snow, the bugs, the critters, it was cool. There's definitely parts that I miss, but Vegas has been incredible. It's really
I love it here as well. There's so much to do. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you been up to Mount Charleston at all? Or?
Oh yeah. There was a period I was almost going once a week just to
now in the winter or summer or
mixture of both. Yeah. I've been and fall time can be really nice too.
So I went up there, the skiing and it's really a quaint place. I mean, it's really less than an hour out of Vegas, and then I went up there in the summer, and literally there were wild Mustangs, roaming around. I mean, it's crazy.
That's what's crazy. People don't realize that.
Yeah,
it's a whole different world up there. And I mean, you get away, you're up there, and you're it's completely different. That's what I love about Vegas is I live by Summerlin, right near Red Rock. I can from my house. I do this every single day, multiple times a day. I take a run. I'm there in Red Rock. I feel like you're in a different world, And then my wife and I probably once a week go to the Strip, go to one of our favorite steakhouses. I mean, it's so cool that it's just right there. But
what's your favorite restaurant on the Strip?
So I have so not on the Strip, but my go-to is actually right by Red Rock Casino, T-Bone Chop House. Yeah, T-Bone's is freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
On the Strip, I mean, Golden Steer, you can't go wrong with.
Right.
There's what is the name of it? For Mexican food, Javier's in Arliss.
Been there too.
Freaking good. You got the Secret Pizza. That's in Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, that's in Cosmopolitan.
Cosmopolitan. Yeah. Really, really cool. Have you been to where is it? And I always say this wrong. Fontainebleau, the poodle room at the top.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, it's really that place. I have a buddy. The place where I get my cars from, he has a hookup there, and it's really freaking cool. It's a cool.
Wow, maybe can you
absolutely?
I
gotta get you the hookup. Yes,
I love. I'm a foodie. I love food, and I have really good food.
It's really cool.
And I mean, some of the best in the world is right here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to do that. That'd be cool to get a group together.
That would be absolutely
it's a very cool place. They have a little private cigar lounge section. It's really freaking cool. Yeah.
Nice. It's I think tonight, I mean, we're wearing coats here.
I know,
we've got the, the window all the way open because it's just such an incredible drop back, with the Strip right there.
Yes.
But we're both kind of freezing, so you got a coat on. But I absolutely love it here. What do you like to do for fun? I mean, when you were in Idaho, what did you do? Did you hunt at all?
Yeah, I did a lot of hunting, fishing. Okay. Idaho was really cool that it was very, I like to say like real world practical. for fun, it was chopping wood, make sure there was enough wood for winter. A lot of gardening. My wife and I, we actually try to grow as much of our own food as we could.
Nice.
So it was like kind of that stuff all the time, which is there's times I miss it, but then it's really nice. Like I said, like go out to dinner, like drive one of the supercars, cruise around. Great gyms here, just great. I don't know, even like people just don't realize even some of like the local places. It just there's a different sense of community here. That
there really
cool
is
that I've seen.
Yeah, I know when I first moved here, my daughter is like thought I was going through like a midlife crisis or something, and then she came and visited me, and we're living out here in Henderson, and she's like, "Wow, this is really nice."
Oh yeah.
Well, make a long story short, she ended up moving here.
That's cool. That's
right
awesome.
now, both of my
cool.
daughters live here.
Yes.
Yeah, growing up in Minnesota. I loved it there.
Yeah.
I still go back every year.
Yeah.
I go fishing and hunting
cool.
and different things like that. But
that's cool.
But what's interesting too, because everything is at your fingertips here.
Yes.
And back there, you can't find. I mean, it's cafe. It's a cafe, and I love it. Right, I love that. But it's hard to stay healthy there. It's really takes an effort.
Yes, for sure. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
It's really just what you said. It's difficult because once you're here, you almost get spoiled because like everything is always open. There's something to do at all freaking times. I like to play poker sometimes. I'll get like on a streak where I'm like, okay, once a weekend I'll go play some Texas Hold'em or something like that, and that's just fun. It's so cool that
Yeah, no, I do too. I like blackjack, and I don't go to try to win.
Yeah,
I go to because I really enjoy it, and if I win, and the only way I'm really gonna win because I'm up at least some point. I'm always up at some point.
Yes.
But I'm enjoying myself, so I'm going to keep playing. So I'm either going to get tired and decide to go home, and if I happen to be up, I'm going to win, right? Or if I run, I've lost. Okay, this is my limit. I'm not going to lose anymore, so I'm going to go home. But
that's so true.
But I do enjoy it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a blast. That's hard. Like with blackjack, if I try to play too long, I normally end up just like like you said, but it's just fun to play. It's cool with Texas Hold'em, like it's one of those that I can stay there for such a long time. It's kind of one of those fun things, But
very cool.
Awesome...
Have you been out to like Valley of Fire?
Okay, so it's pretty bad. I could say I've not been to Valley of Fire. I gotta go because everyone goes there, and that's one thing that's definitely on my bucket list. I mean, I've been to, not that it's here in Vegas, but like I've done Sedona a bunch of times there in Arizona. It's what's really nice about Vegas too is that everything is close. If you want to go to California, going to Arizona, Utah. I mean, everything is very centralized, But yes, Sedona's been cool for sure.
I've not been to Sedona. I have a trip there in April with a group of about 100 of us going.
Wow,
kind of taking over, like a resort type thing. So I'm super looking forward to it.
That's
I mean,
cool.
you talk about manifestation.
Yeah,
that is the place, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the vortex is there. The energy that is there is really, really powerful. It's very interesting. It's actually here in Vegas. I think it's here kind of more in Henderson area. There's actually supposed to be a famous vortex called the Dragon's Tail or something like that. But this was something I learned a long time ago that the whole area of Henderson is like a very good vibe. It's supposed to be a successful.
I can agree with that. I mean, I love it here.
Yeah.
There is a place I got into hiking. That's one of the things that brought me out to Vegas besides the weather and the taxes and
awesome.
Things like that. But in St. George, Utah, about 2 hours from here.
Yeah,
there's some great hiking there. There is a little vortex, and you kind of go down in it.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see what the one in Sedona looks like.
Yeah,
how that compares.
They're incredible. Sedona is probably the best of the best, and there's a few of them there. I mean, it's just the whole vibe of it there is really cool. You're gonna love it there. Yeah, when you go in that's gonna be a cool
it's like,
for sure.
Hey, what is this podcast about? Is it about Vegas or what?
I know.
No.
I know.
Yeah. But no, I like I said, we could go on. That'd actually be probably a good podcast. People that love Vegas, they want to know more about it. And stuff. But the podcast theme is the power of influence. So I want to kind of talk about that as well.
Absolutely.
I want to find out, who really had, major influence. Because I think anyone that I've been interviewing, they talk about people that really had an impact on their life.
For sure. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so as you think about that, where are there some moments, some people, some, things that really had an influence on you?
There's been, one of the first ever when I was younger, even I was so into freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he was one of those that he's done so many crazy things, like from being Mr. Olympia to his acting career. And I feel like he was one of those that just always took a chance. But the thing I really liked is that he embodied the greatness. Like he is Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, I feel even when he was that young, like he knew there was just this innate knowing that I'm him. Like I'm that guy. I'm going to be doing amazing things within that. He was a great one. There's been a lot. And for me, it's always been really looking up to people that took the risk, took the chance. You know what I mean? That really just didn't have any, how would I say, lived with no regret in a sense. Like forget, you know, like I'm got one life, I might as well go all in. You know what I mean? And that's actually the turning point in my life when I really started to adopt that mentality. That's when everything shifted. More money started coming in. Like everything got better when I'm just like, I got to do the opposite of what everyone around me is doing. You know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of like, I love my family, but they're at a certain level and they're at a certain level of thinking. And I had to get outside of that level of thinking to be able to move ahead.
Right.
Know? And I think that's a big that like people don't realize like that what your circle is, who you're surrounded by. You're going to kind of be
they have you're a victim of your environment.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, they just don't know any different because they live in this small world.
Yeah.
And they're so afraid of moving, you know, to experiment, to break, and not just afraid, it's the peer pressure of the people around them. When you try to, you know, move out of your, you know, your upbringings and venture into something new that they don't understand, you may not even understand.
Yes.
Everybody's uncomfortable.
Yeah. They don't like it. Yes. Yeah. And that's where, man, so many dreams have gone to die in that place. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, this could be a good thing. And then, no, I don't know about that. You know, that's.
Yeah. Or they really did. And then someone with influence, right? Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a really good friend, a coworker, a boss, whatever. You know, they got this great idea. They're excited about it. And then these people kill their dream. Right.
Yep.
You know, one of the things you talked about regret. Right.
Yep.
And, the biggest regrets are not the things that we've done. It's rather the things we haven't done. And 100%. So many people, I mean, that's, you know, I'd rather try and maybe ultimately fail than having lived with the regret of having never tried at all.
100%. Yep.
And a lot of times, even, you know, spouses, right? When I first got involved in the networking space that I'm in, the business I'm in, complete departure. Right. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, you know, as a welder, you know, making $9 an hour, living in a trailer house and, you know, got introduced to a different way of life. And, you know, I gave it a try, got really excited and passionate about it. And people around me, you know, including at that time was my fiance. And she was, you know, also not on board, right? And I'm like, I'd rather try at this and fail than having to live with the regret of never tried at all. And then of course I think she saw what happened and kind of me coming out of my shell. I became like almost a, you know, 'cause I think a lot of people, they die with the music in them. They never, they think about it, but they never act on it. And it never comes out, and they end up kind of tiptoeing through life, trying to get to death safely with not much more, and I wish they could do it all over again.
100%. Yeah, I tell people, just, you got to do it. You got to do it. Like, you know, like, because even when you're an expert at something, there's still going to be complications or this or that. Or one thing might be a hit or a miss. Like, you got to just do it. That's most people.
I mean, I can feel the excitement in you when you say that, because
for sure.
I mean, when you think about that, folks, when was the last time you were really excited, just jacked up about your life or your future? Because you're, you know, you talk about a rut. A rut in life is like a grave with the ends kicked out, right? They're just kind of, you know, living in the misery, just getting day to day with no real, maybe moments of joy, but they're not living.
100%. They're not. No, I think most people too don't realize, like, when you're actually really passionate about something, when you're working hard towards something and you're feeling the accomplishments happen, that's like one of the greatest rewards there is. You know what I mean? Like, we live in such a world that's very entitled. You know what I mean? That it's like, oh, I want this, I want it now, I want, you know, and it's like, come on, you know?
Yeah, they got no patience, no willing to you know, to give something time to really manifest, right? To manifest and to mature into something. They want it immediately. What's the word we're looking for? That
the instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Not willing. I mean, because I grew up in the time where, I mean, it was, you worked hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you did.
You had to all the way. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, that is everything. Like people think manifestation has to, they want the 3D, they want their reality to change like that.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is. You have to internally change and be like, hey, I'm going to be this person. I'm going to be this. The second I decide I'm going to do this, you're on the journey. You're already there. And that's what people don't realize. You know what I mean? I think of, I had this cool analogy the other day, thinking about like when Bitcoin was nothing. When Bitcoin, literally, I can remember back in the day, I had a buddy that's like, oh, hey, you can like, I'll just give you one of these coins. It was almost free. You know what I mean? And thinking about the concept of Bitcoin back then, no one knew what it was going to do. But if you think about like, if Bitcoin was its own entity, like a living thing, it knew, hey, one day, wait till you see what's going to happen. It's that same thing. It's you got to have that belief,
that vision
that, you know what? I'm going to see this through. I'm going to freaking see it through.
Yeah. Begin with the end in mind, and don't let anybody steal your dream. I mean, for me, I think back, when I left my maintenance job, because I worked part-time for 6 months, and then all the, the people, my coworkers, right. And they're good people. They're good people. I was friends with them, but they're, I'm breaking out, right. And making them uncomfortable. And so they're kind of teasing me or, telling me, it'll never work and blah, blah, blah. And I just said, and you could have heard a pin drop. I'm in the break room. This is like my last day there. And they're giving me this hard time. And I said, maybe you're right. But I figure the worst thing that could happen is I'm going to have to come back and get a job like you've got.
I love that. I love that mentality. That's so good. That's
but awesome. I got into the personal development. You talked about do the exact opposite. There's a person by the name of Earl Nightingale. You familiar with his work?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's kind of one of the granddaddies of he was in radio broadcasting, but right there with Jim Rohn and Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
He grew up in that W. Clement Stone.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And he has a set of tapes. They're audio cassettes in my day, right? And it was called The Strangest Secret. And he says, look at what the great majority of the people do in any given circumstance and do the exact opposite. And he says, you'll probably never be wrong again. Right. And I heard that popped into my mind because that's what's interesting about listening to and studying all this stuff. You may not have thought of that for years. It's just sitting in the back of your subconscious. Somebody says something that triggers it and it just pops right out.
And then, but exactly within that. Yeah. And that's in that mindset. It's so important that there's like that saying, take advice from the person you're looking up to. You know what I mean? Like if they don't have the things you want, if they're not doing the things, if they don't have the mindset that you want, don't take advice from them. You know what I mean? And I think most people, they're stuck in that fear mentality, you could say the sheep mentality where everyone's kind of thinking the same within that. But it's absolutely true.
But that point, I mean, it's such of a common sense, fundamental point that nobody does. Literally, don't take advice from people that are, doing worse than you, right? Or I mean, you want to take advice from people that have what you want, right? And even when we talked about mentoring there for a little bit, and people that had influence on your life, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think people think that these mentors need to be like in person or with them. They can be. I mean, one of my biggest mentors is Jim Rohn, and I mean, some of my best mentors are people that I never met.
100%,
but I resonated with them. And
absolutely.
I'm like, I wanted, to be, emulate them.
Yes, absolutely, all the way. It's funny you say that. Even for me, I've had mentors. I would say that they wasn't teaching manifestation, but for me, I grew up. My dad showed me John Wayne movies. And I love like John Wayne, the Rifleman, like Paul Newman, like those characters, what they stood for, that that, even that in and of itself. And I think a lot of people like don't realize that when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to you creating a reality that you want, you have to be that character. Like you have to know what the character traits of that person would be. Being courageous, standing up for it, believing in yourself, just going all in. You know what I mean? Like,
and when you're watching something like that, right? And you kind of like when I watch a movie, it's like I'm in it, right? I mean,
I love that. That's a great.
Say it's funner watching me watch a movie than it is watching a movie because I'm like moving with it and moving.
That's cool. I love that.
It's like I put myself in it. But when you find something that really resonates, it could be something deeper. That's trying to come out.
Absolutely, I love that. That is so freaking true because it's the same way when I would watch those movies, and like certain things they would say, and just like they're speaking the truth, they're being the freaking man. I was like, yeah, I resonate so much within that, you know?
Because there's lessons in the story and things to learn
Yes, big
from
time.
all of these things,
Yes,
even
big
bad
time.
lessons.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
We talk about influence. There's also bad influence.
Yeah, there's big time
And that's
within that.
a lot of people, you know, that's what they do too, is they're, I mean, because, you know, we talk about it almost in every podcast that, you know, the 5 people you hang around with, you hang around with 5 people that are lying, you're going to find yourself lying, right?
Yes,
you find around 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th,
excellent. Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, sometimes it is so hard.
Yeah,
right.
It is,
because they're friends or family. Many times they are family.
Yeah,
and not that they're bad people, but they're not good for you.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And if you want something more, you stay in that environment. And you know, it's like I heard this quote and I loved it. It says, "If you can't change the people around you, you need to change the people around you."
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. 100%. Yeah, because it's within that you are becoming them. Like it's, how would I say it here? Your frequency, your ideas, like whatever you're surrounding yourself with, whatever, like I love the saying here, frequency is what you frequently see, what you frequently say.
Right.
And if the more you're there, the more you're around people that aren't good, that they don't have the same ideas, it truly, I think it's actually one of those things that's almost impossible to be surrounded with negative people and not become negative yourself. It's just, it's just you.
Yeah.
It's better to be, this is a big thing that I've heard a lot of people, like very successful people do. Sometimes you got to be alone. Sometimes you have to have that season of loneliness. You know, if if you can find the right people, absolutely. That has to be the goal. But if you got to be in a season of loneliness to get ahead, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, you know, because I think everybody at some point they have some dark periods in their life.
100%.
Misery loves company. And when you find yourself, and I've been there, right? Yeah. When you're in that mindset, when you're in that you know, that frame of mind, you really resist people trying to give you advice, or, you know, it's just like you want somebody to hear you. You want somebody to understand and not be told, you know, what 100%. You should be doing. Deep down, you kind of know what you're doing. I just want to wallow here for a while. You know?
Yeah. That's a huge one. You know, most people, if they are stuck in that place, and this is most people, they want to be heard. They want the sympathy rather than being told how to get out of it. They want to be told, you know, and it's one thing I was going to say, very interesting kind of earlier when it came to like watching movies or watching things. The one big theme that I notice is so interesting, and I tell this to everyone, is most movies, like the problem or like that's going on in the movie,
the plot or whatever.
The plot, it always deals with someone with a reaction. Someone overreacted. Now, oh no, this could happen. Now we got to solve the problem. And I tell this to everyone. The biggest issue that we all have is we react. And I always say, don't react, respond. Take time to actually think what you're going to say. Think what you're going to do. Most problems, I mean, people get killed over overreacting or reacting to a situation, or, oh, well, you said that, I'm going to fight you over that. And now all of a sudden your world gets flipped upside down. Reacting is one of those things that's so dangerous. And from a manifestation level, it'd be like if someone's, you know, obviously, if someone's in your face, you got to use discernment to protect yourself with certain things. But some situations is just someone trying to put their energy, their vibration on you. And it's up to you to either be like, hey, I'm going to just be chill. I'm going to ignore this. Or if I engage in it, now I'm part of the problem. Now I'm in that energy of,
I mean, that's a whole conversation right there, because, you know, and I think back to, you know, my listenings to, you know, Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale and, you know, several things, you know, Jim Rohn, he says, it's not what happens, it's what you do about what happens.
Yes.
Right. Yes. But there's a lady by the name of Mel Robbins, and she's got a book called The 5-Second Rule.
Yeah. Mel Robbins.
And she's like, whatever happens, count to 5 before you react, because this, you know, and then I think it's Napoleon Hill where he talks about if you need to learn how to control your emotion. You can feel your emotions. Okay, you're going to feel. I mean, that reaction can be internal, and it could be like you want to rip their head off.
Yes.
But you don't, and you think this through about what you want to say or what you want to do before reacting 100% of what the feeling. Because we're not saying don't feel it. You're going to feel it.
Yeah, you're going to feel it,
But you don't have to act on it.
Yes, 100%. That is literally everything. And most problems, I would say almost all problems are because of that. Is because of reacting. And people don't realize too, it's like little things, little reactions. You know what I mean? in relationships, in business, and it's even, you know, when you're driving, oh, someone cuts you off, or just anything. Like, you know, there's people that love to just be mad about everything, complain about everything. Those little complaints add up. All of a sudden,
Oh my
if you look
God.
back at your day, you might have complained 100 times. What do you think that's going to do to your whole
No doubt.
mindset?
Your whole being.
Your whole being. Yeah,
yeah.
You're not going to be at the place you want to. Like, that's what I tell like,
I mean, people they argue and about the stupidest things. They mean nothing. I mean, I'm not going to argue. You know, I remember, I think it was like a TikTok video or an Instagram video, and you know, says, you know, that they don't argue with, you know, stupid people. Right. Something like that. It was really great. And then the person was arguing with him and he just agreed. Yeah, you're right. You know?
God, that's good. I love, that's a huge one, especially in social media, is that there's always going to be people that completely disagree with you. I mean, irrationally disagree with you. And it goes back to this too. I tell everyone, be careful too, because the way people want a reaction out of you, because they want to feel right, or they want to feel something. So that's where it's just, it's so
they want to pull you down or what, whatever it is.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, 100%. I mean, all you do when you react, especially on social media, is you escalate it.
Yes.
And then they have to, and it is a lose-lose situation.
All the time.
When you ignore it, you actually get to them more, because they're like, they're so pissed that you didn't
that you're
respond,
not going to say something
instead of just let it go.
Yeah, and absolutely. That's the best thing to do. If to truly be in control is to never let it get to you, to turn the other cheek every time. You know what I mean? I just, like I say, unless it's if my life is threatened, or someone that I know, like someone could literally call me a name to my face and I just go, yeah, whatever. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Don't argue with
you're
them.
right. Yeah, good. Like, and just move on. Cause it's like, internally, I know who I am. I know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it means nothing to you.
Nothing. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge part of manifestation is, actually might be it's like internally, you got to know who you are and where you're going. You know what I mean? That's a lot of manifestation is visualizing, being able to see the picture. But something that I say to everyone is, you want to be a living visualization, like actually live it, feel it every day. You know, the moment you wake up, who is it that you want to be? What character, what version of you do you want to be? Embody that. What would you do if that was happening? And that's another huge one. If the money's there, if you woke up tomorrow, all the money's there, the job you wanted is there, the business, whatever it may be, the love, every aspect of your life is exactly the way that you wanted it, how would you act? You know what I mean? And I have so many clients that start with me in the beginning where they're like, oh my gosh, I want to have all this money, all this, and they've never even done a business in their life. And I'm like, okay, what if that shows up tomorrow? Like, are you ready to be a business owner? Are you ready to do whatever you have to do? Is that going to become your obsession? You know what I mean? Because it's, you know, like making money, being abundant, doing good, like becoming better has to become an obsession.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah, and people, you know, sometimes people think a negative connotation with obsession, but it's really, if you're obsessing about good things, it's going to make you a better person. And another way to maybe look at it is maybe a word that would be similar would be passionate about something.
Passionate. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Absolutely. You know, because I've heard this phrase a long time ago. It's you know, passive income. I never like the term passive income because it sounds like, of course, there's passive income, but it's, for me, I always like to think of my income as like, I'm getting it. You know what I mean? There's nothing passive about it. It's full on. I'm in control of it. I'm understanding. Like I'm going for it all the way. And I think
people look at people like yourself that have had massive success, and you know they kind of think, you know, because they look at where you were, and again reminds me. And this was again Earl Nightingale, and they were talking about attitude. And the person was, well, I'd have that great attitude if I had your level of success. And he said the attitude came first. The success is a result of a great attitude. I love that.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. I heard this great saying, attitude determines your altitude.
Right.
Oh, and I love that. And that is it 100%. Like for me, my whole life, I've always had an unshakable belief that it's just, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to keep getting
kind of
better.
like a sense of knowing.
Yes. I love that you said that, because that's exactly, I tell that to everybody. Like, I don't believe, I know. Belief always is going to have a little bit of room for doubt in there. But if I know something, I know it.
When you know and you know,
yeah,
that confidence replaces the fear.
Yes, 100%. And that's that confidence, that is everything, being in that place. You got to have that.
Yeah, and like you said, because I think one of the things when you talk about manifesting, it can work in the opposite way.
Yes, and that's
right?
most of
Because if you're thinking about the wrong things, because I talk about, you know, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind, right?
100%. Yep.
And the subconscious mind, right? It doesn't know right from wrong.
Yep.
Positive from negative, good from bad.
Yep.
It only knows what the conscious mind feeds it.
Yes.
And most people, the person they're listening to the most is themselves.
Yes.
Right. The negative, it's stress and anxiety and fear and frustration, and and their subconscious just goes to work on it.
Yeah, is making that exactly. Yeah. 100%. There's that the one spot in our brain that basically filters out whatever we give it to want to focus on. It filters out everything else, and that's why if you're feeding your subconscious negativity after negativity, that's exactly what you're
doing. And that comes right back to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Learn to control your mind 100%. And you can control your destiny. Learn to control that self-talk.
Yes.
And for me, because we live in a lot of negative influences.
Yes.
Right? A lot of negative influences. And for me, when I got introduced to the personal development, because you at your job, typical work, right? Everybody's complaining about their boss, about their wife or their spouse, or you know, the politics, whatever. That's all they do: live and complain. Misery loves company. And you know, what broke me free was the introduction of personal development.
Yes.
And 100%. I started, and you start feeding it the good stuff. Even Zig Ziglar, he said once, when he's with a negative person, he said, you know, one of two things are going to happen. Either my positiveness is going to rub off on you, or your negativeness is going to rub off on me, and I just can't take that chance.
Yes, for sure. You know, you can't. Yes, so, that's a freaking Lily. I love that all the way. Yeah, I like to say, like, we are a magnet. You know what I mean? If you think of yourself as a magnet, you can tune that. It's your subconscious mind. If you're in that place and you think about it like that, okay, well, whatever you are attracting, that if you're going to be at that place, you're going to attract that, and then that's what your mind is projecting out there. You know, and it's.
I mean, to that point, because it's, again, you're, you know, somebody says, well, you know, this happens to me, that happens, all this bad stuff always happens to me.
Yes.
And,
oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, well, the best I can figure out is things like that just happen to people like you, but it's your thoughts.
Yes.
You're drawing, you talk magnets, drawing all that stuff.
Yes.
You're attracting all that stuff.
Yeah. That's the biggest, like Neville Goddard has a saying, feeling is a secret. Yeah. And it's a like,
Neville Goddard.
Yes, Neville Goddard. Yep.
Yeah, I've listened to that so many times. Yes. The feeling is the secret.
Yes.
By Neville Goddard, I think his name is.
Yep. Neville Goddard. Yep.
Neville Goddard. Yep. I can't. I'm terrible with names, but I bet I've listened to that thing 50 times. I got it on an audio.
And it is so good, and it is so true, because that's. Think of it, everyone says, "Oh, I feel this way. Oh, I feel this way. Oh, I feel it's not working out for me. I feel it's so hard." Well, then, if you're feeling that, that's what you're going to get, because it's. A certain feeling will then bring upon a certain thought.
Yeah, and action.
If you're feeling good, if I'm feeling determined, if I'm feeling good, now I'm going to think good thoughts, you know? But everyone always says, oh, I feel sick. Oh, I feel run down. They don't say, oh, I think I'm sick. It's first, I feel it. I always try to say,
everything is a feeling.
Yeah, everything is
begins
a feeling.
with a feeling.
Yes. And if you change that, if you start to be, I say every day, wake up feeling grateful, feeling appreciative for life, feeling joyful about life, experiencing it. I mean, like, we're here. You got to make the freaking best of it, you know?
And it's easier said than done.
It is. 100%.
I mean, you know, so how do you change that? For me, it was, you know, I mean, you take, and I like to listen. Maybe it's watch, maybe it's read, whatever it is. Yeah. You pick, when you're feeling not good, you're in that negative spot in life. Yep. If you try to consciously overpower it, right, by reading a book of positivity, reading, listening, or watching, you cannot. Yes. And if it doesn't change it right away, just keep doing it. Repetition will eventually overpower it.
Absolutely, all the way. That's the best thing. That's why it's so important what you're listening to, what you're seeing. It's got to be good, because life, no matter what, at any level that you're at, there's going to be challenges. Absolutely, there's going to be some days where you're like, man, this ain't good. Like getting back on the bandwagon of what are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Get into that place where you can instantly get that pick me up of like, okay, let's go.
Another massive piece of advice: change change the input.
Change the input. Yes, that's a great way to say it. It really is that.
Yeah,
most people, there's so many distractions right now. I always say this, and I really believe this. It's never been easier to be rich, to make money, to be a millionaire. But in the same sentence, it's never been easier to be so distracted. There's more distractions than ever. It's you got both ways. You can win really big, or you can lose really big, you know?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the classic, The Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the best of times.
Yes.
It was the worst of times.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's the same time, period.
Yes.
But it's all in how you react to it.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to change that. Change what you're watching. And if you can even eliminate the distractions, that's a big step there to really keep you focused in.
And social media is a massive distraction.
It is, yeah.
And a lot of great stuff. I mean, I watch it. I look at a ton of good stuff, but it's again, is what are you watching? What are you listening to?
Yep.
And but to that point too, you've got a huge following, right? I mean, you would be an influencer.
Yeah, it's really
which fits perfectly with our theme here today.
Yep.
But let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
What was your upbringing?
It's kind of crazy. I mean, my parents were very middle class. My mom, she was a nurse. My dad, he had his own business. He was a dentist. He had some good times, but he definitely, had when the recession hit and stuff like that, he had his big struggles. I learned a lot watching him run his business like that. And when I was 18, I actually started a pool cleaning service. When I moved to California, started my pool business there. I had a landscape business. I always was into business.
Right.
Did a little bit of community college, and I was like, it's just not for me. I always want to do business. Always did that more and more and more, but it's so interesting. When I was like, since I can remember, since I was a kid, I filmed home movies with my action figures, with stuff like that. I was obsessed with filming movies, editing, everything like that. And then it carried over to so much of what I do now.
So always creative.
Always creative. And I love making content. All day I'm working with my clients. And then if I'm not doing that, there's times I post like 3 to sometimes 6 Instagram reels a day. I'm doing TikToks, YouTubes. I like to just create as much as I can, and that's really how I grew so much. As I posted, I kept just giving.
So that was really in you as a child.
Yeah, absolutely. All the freaking
And did your parents call you a dreamer? Were they supportive, or were they just, that's, Yeah,
it's interesting. They like that I would do that, like the imagination side of it for sure. My downtime, I think they're some of it, maybe they thought, oh, this is kind of crazy. And this, like, even now, they're in shock at how much that I have done. You know what I mean? They're just like, wow, this is insane what you have freaking accomplished, But I'll say this, I'm very appreciative to them. They never they're like, no, you can't do that. At least they were in that place. They believe, but I don't think they think they would get.
Yeah, they didn't want to. They didn't want to rain on your parade, or they probably didn't internally. That's ridiculous. But they're supportive. That sounds great.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. But you
can do it.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, but the biggest thing is just doing it. You got to freaking do it. You know what I mean? The more you become passionate about something and you just go for it, and that's the one thing. We're living in a time where anyone, like, any video can go viral. Someone's life can be changed like that. It's amazing. It can be anybody. And that's.
So how did you get into the social media influence? How was that transition? What led you to,
So a big thing was, it's kind of funny. Like when I lived off grid, my wife and I, we had a YouTube and stuff like that. And that was a big thing. We were doing that for a while. And I can actually remember there was a point where there was another couple that we knew that was doing, their own YouTube, but they were like, showing much more of the wife, the girl. And I thought, you know what? I'm like, at that moment, I was like, I was in such a certain niche or a way that I thought I had to do it, where I was like, you know what, let me switch it up again. What we said way earlier, think differently, think in a different way. We did. I focused more of the channel just on my wife, and it really did well. And that was the biggest spark that really changed everything. It was when YouTube really, like, YouTube still pays well, but it was at the point, it was way back in the day within it. Made a lot within that, and it helped me more and more within social media. And but it's really cool because within that, there's been so many manifestations that I've had happen. So freaking many. There are too many to count. But every part of the journey has been within that, where I was like, wow, look back and I'm like, I literally saw this years ago, and now it's transpired into 3D reality.
So I'm sure you're familiar, obviously, with The Secret.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's your, I think a lot of people misunderstand it.
Yes. Yeah.
And they think, in my mind, tell me if I'm interpreting this correctly, right?
Sure.
Because you're consuming yourself with the proper thoughts of manifesting something you really want.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But it's not enough just to think. It's the thought that's supposed to trigger the creative juices to lead you to the people, the actions, the things to actually make that a reality.
Yes, 100%.
Versus, I'm going to do this, and then I think about it, but you don't act on, or you don't let the creative, because, hey, what you have to do is typically going to be difficult.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's, you nail that spot on. People get that so wrong where they think it's just, I think I get. It goes back to the instant gratification. I like, the first thing I would say is, okay, if you want something, why? What is that thing solving? What is, if you want a really nice car, why? What, like, do you feel inadequate? Do you feel like you need it? Do you like, maybe you just like car, like, and that's okay. Like, you got to think of what the feeling is. A lot of times people, everything is a feeling. Like, we'll go back to everything is a feeling. And when you can master that and go, okay, I want to have more abundance. I want to know what it feels like to have all these things. I want to feel busy. I want to feel all of that. I want to be a great entrepreneur and feel that. Boom. Now you're already on the path. The moment you decide to really feel that and go for it, I like to see it as you already then have the car, but it will catch up when it does. And maybe, and this is the big one too, no expectations. There's going to be something better. There's always going to be something better. And a lot of times I find that people will get their manifestation, their life will change, and then they're not. They're like, oh, I'm not really, maybe I wanted something different. This is actually not what I thought it would be. And that's the problem, because they had the wrong expectations.
Right.
For me, I'm as successful now as I was 15 years ago, because I'm the same guy. I'm the same mindset, where even when I was at my poorest, when I was building my log cabin in the middle of nowhere, hunting, I'm the same freaking legendary feeling as I am now.
Right.
It's like, that's what
beautiful.
carries over. You know what I mean? That's, if I'm telling people, that's where you got to get. You got to love yourself so much. You got to be the character. To go back real quick on this, when I think of any movie character, any superhero, so many things happen. The villain, the bad guy, a new villain, but they are always them at their core, that main character, a Captain America, Superman. Superman's always going to be Superman at his core, no matter what happens. And if you can get in that mindset where you know who you are, you create this character, this version of you that you want to be, and you stick to that no matter what, life will be amazing. Good or bad, life will be freaking amazing.
And it manifesting, if you're not living a good life, you don't want to hear it, but you're manifesting that.
Yes. It's
100%. Your thoughts, it's your input.
Yep. 99.9% of everything, it is you manifested. It really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there can be some situations where people,
things happen.
There's things that
accident
happen,
or whatever. You can't control the circumstances. You can only control what you do about them.
Absolutely. And even then, that's that perspective. Exactly. Some days are going to be bad. Some situations aren't fair. You know what? Change your perspective on it. It's amazing.
That's an interesting point, because I talk about that too, because I've seen it over and over again. I've been there.
Yep.
Okay. Something happens that isn't fair, that isn't right, that shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
And you just dwell on it, and you drive yourself into a ditch instead of like catching yourself.
Yes.
Okay. It's what happened isn't going to, we can't unhappen it.
Yeah.
Right.
It can't unhappen it. No. It's
now,
done.
what am I going to do about it?
Yes. What's the next move? Exactly. Yeah. Most people get hung up on that so much. And that's even something I work with a lot of clients on, but I try to tell them, like, you can't live in the past. A lot of people live in their childhood traumas, and they might be 20, 30, 40, and they're still living there. And it's like, when are you going to finally just realize just heal it and move on?
Yeah.
And you know what? Hey, you're going to have the scar. You might still have that scar, but you got to move on. You got to keep going.
I mean, some of the most famous people in the world have had tragedy.
Horrible. Yeah.
I mean, and they become, instead of this victim, this poor me, pity, you know what I think about is, I brought this just popped into my head, is Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Okay. And, Sergeant Dan.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
This was my war to die in. And he was trying to manifest that.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he switched his whole thought process and became just, because he wanted to, and he kept wanting to die.
Yes.
Trying to almost, through alcohol and everything else, destroy his life. And something happened when that turned it around. And at the end of the movie there, when he was married and dressed nice and walking on his fake legs and just so grateful to be alive.
Yeah. I love that. Forrest Gump is a great
so
movie
many
for all of
lessons
us.
in there.
So many lessons. So much like, yeah, that movie is what manifestation is.
Yeah.
You know? Like even when you think about how Forrest, like so many things he didn't even realize that he did, and so many people that he touched and helped.
Sometimes
and
he just didn't know any better.
He didn't even know any better. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, one thing that really isn't talked about a lot, and I think everyone has to realize that there's people that you impact that you might never know. You'll never even know. And you know, it's really cool to think that like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't matter. You know, they feel terrible about themselves. You don't know whose life you has changed. You know what I mean? And that's where you got to keep going. You got to keep going.
And just opening up, taking a chance, taking a risk.
Yep.
One other thing I mentioned, I feel like we've just started here, but, you know, prayer.
Yeah.
If you really think about prayer,
yep,
it's really manifestation.
It is 100%. Absolutely. And when it comes to prayer, you really want to think about it. Even biblically, it says that you should pray as if it's happened, like literally giving thanks that it has already happened, not that it's coming, that it's already happened. And it's
and live it.
Live it. Live it. And when you're praying for something, live it that you have received it, that it is done. You are grateful for it. That's the key for it. People love to pray, please let this happen. This has to happen. Instead, you know, I'm so grateful that this has happened. I'm so grateful for my health. I'm so grateful that things have turned around. And
listen, people, what he's talking about right here is the absolute secret to your success, to your happiness, to anything you want in life. 100%. Is manifestation.
It is.
And if you're not getting it, you're manifesting what you get.
Yes, 100%. I think we said this, but you're manifesting whether you like it or not. You are. You just are. Whether you like it, whether you know it or not, you're manifesting.
Whether you know it or not.
You're manifesting. So you got to get in that mindset. You got to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I like myself. I want to enjoy life. I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. And
it's a conscious act.
Yeah, it really
it's a conscious act.
It really is. I tell this to all my clients. They like at first they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that. But I tell them, you have to do this every day. This is practice. You have to, myself now, even I can't, if I start to change or I get, you know, complacent or whatever, I'll fall off. You know, it has to be a mindset that I have programmed in where I am so grateful. I am so appreciative. I really am so precise on what I think, what I say, and what I get into, what I feel. You know what I mean? I'm like, if I do this, what's the outcome? And, you know, I don't like to always think of the outcome, but I think more of what am I going to feel if I do this? You know, what's the outcome of feeling going to be if I partake in this, if I partake in that? I really try to think wisely on that.
Right.
As best as you can, make the best decision, you know?
Make the best decisions.
Yes.
I mean, that's a good place to start. I have a little personal philosophy I call the small steps, or, you know, never underestimate the impact of every decision you make, regardless of how small or insignificant.
Yes. Absolutely.
It has an outcome. I mean, us doing this podcast
has an outcome.
I mean, I'm just jacked up with this podcast because this is what you have here.
Yes.
Your manifestation. You've got a book here, but it will completely
change
unlock the key to your total happiness and success.
Everything. Yeah, it is. It is everything. Isn't it? Because it's you. It's your perception. It's your feel. It is all stems from within. And it's just, again, I'm going to say it's amazing when you just change the way you feel. You change the mindset. You change a few things. You will be as happy as if you had all the money. Like, yes, money and things are great, but it's like, if you're not feeling good, it doesn't matter. And once you feel good, all of it changes. All of it starts to flow in. It's really amazing, you know? And think about it, even when it comes to money, when it comes to abundance, when it comes to good things, good things want to be around people that feel good, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge, like, I rarely ever see unhappy people when I'm at, the supercar dealership that I go to. It's always a good vibe. Everyone's happy. Like it's a.
So you just bought a new car?
I did. Yeah, I just bought bought another Huracan, a Lamborghini. It's fun.
Now, is that the new one?
Yeah. It's the last one they got now is like the last V10 is there's the Technica, there's the Evo, there's a few different Huracans.
Because there's one I went to the delership and there's like a waiting list, right? I mean, you just can't go buy one of these things.
I mean,
and it was like 750 grand or something, like 800 horsepower.
Yes, it's crazy. Yeah. I know the one you're. Yeah, there's the Tamario and then the Revolta. They're a blast. They're a really blast. You know, even if I go to the dealership here all the time. I know everyone in there. I've bought so many cars there, but I just like to go there. Like, it feels good.
Now, which dealership are you going to?
Vegas Auto Gallery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, Nick is freaking awesome. And I go there and it just feels good. You know what I mean? And I've even told that to my clients. Even doesn't matter if you can't get some, go to certain places, be around certain things, make you feel good. You know what I mean? You don't have to buy it. It's like going to a museum and seeing really great art. It's like, wow, this is freaking incredible. Someone this is their life. They made this masterpiece. You know what I mean? Being around good things like that is another way to really boost, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and that too, just being in nature, like we said way earlier, like being in nature is the ultimate, wow, this is incredible, you know?
That's why I love hiking and getting out, you know, growing up in Minnesota, you know, out in the woods and, you know, hunting or camping and being with nature, being grounded. It's such of a peaceful and a grateful feeling. It's just like nature has so much. It's just magnificent.
It is. There's, I always say this, there's so much abundance in nature. I mean, you see the mountains, you see all there's so much abundance.
And everything that we have spawned from it.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Somehow. You know, it's crazy. Somebody's thought.
That's another thing there is everything we're doing here, everything we see came from an idea.
Yeah. This cup, this chair.
Everything came from the mind. That's crazy to think about. Everything came from an idea.
Yeah. Somebody manifesting.
Yes.
You know, I wonder if this would make my life easier, and they go and invent it. And if it makes my life, it'll make somebody else's life.
Yes.
People chase your dreams and dream.
Yes. You have to, there's that. I truly feel everyone always says, what's my purpose in life? What's my purpose? Your purpose is to be the best you can be. Mm-hmm. There's something inside of you. Get it out, get that out, get your dreams going. You know what I mean? Why do all of us have individual goals and dreams or certain personalities, certain things? Because it's meant to be put out there. It's meant to be built. It's sad because there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of people that just go to their grave with great ideas, great dreams that will never be known. And it's like, that's the number one, the worst.
Well, you know, you talk about goals and, because people have goals.
Yeah.
And I think what they fail to do is to write them down. And review them. And that's what the manifestation. It's you've got to constantly remind yourself.
Yes.
Because we can have a thought, we can have an idea, and we can get excited.
Yes.
But then, you know, it's what happens when that wears off.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to constantly, because every time you want something, right? And you talk about obsession, you make it a passion, you're constantly rolling it. I remember one of the things that I first really great accomplished in my life when it happened. It was so surreal because it was almost like deja vu.
Yes.
I lived it in my head so many times that when it actually occurred, it was like, too familiar.
It's so weird when that happens. Yeah. And I think everyone goes through that, you know, that first big thing that happens, like, wow, my God, and there's a lot of moments that can feel so surreal, you know, especially when you're in the really in the flow state of that moment, when you've seen it so many times, it's almost like you didn't experience it. You know? It's really interesting. A lot of even athletes, there's visualization coaches for major sports teams to get them in that flow of it. And there's some athletes that don't even they don't even remember the game afterwards. They were so in it that there's nothing else going on. Yeah. You know,
they lived it. It was it was just like a natural.
Yes.
It wasn't even effort. They're putting effort.
They're just in the flow within it, which is incredible, you know. But it really is you gotta, like you said, write it down. You gotta remember what you're doing and what your main goal is, because the problem at all times, our ego can get in the way a little bit. You know what I mean? It's we got our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, but then there's that other spot that is that ego that sometimes can, okay, things are going really good. Maybe I want to do a little bit more this way or my way, or this or that.
What are people going to think?
Yes. What are people going to think? Exactly. And you gotta stick to it. Whatever your main goal is, whatever that purpose is, you got to stick to it. It's amazing how consistency is the most underrated thing, and maybe the most important is that consistency. To keep showing up, keep freaking going.
I have a quote around consistency. I don't know if I'm the first one to ever say it, but I'm going to take claim to it. But
love it.
If you're not consistent, you're starting over all the time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I've never, if, one more time with it.
If you're not consistent, you're starting over all the time.
Oh gosh.
Consistency will win the war.
That is amazing. That is savage there. That's incredible. Yeah, that is.
The problem is so many people are consistent in the wrong thing.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
They're consistently making mistakes.
Mistakes over and over again.
Consistently listening to the wrong material and the wrong people. And
absolutely, that's a big. Gosh, that's another one there. Yeah, you have to be consistent, but you have to be consistent in the right thing. Most people are consistent in the distraction.
And focus.
Yeah,
I like to say consistency and focus, because too many people are like a ping pong ball in a wind tunnel.
Yes.
They're trying to do so many different things.
Yeah.
Or, and Jim Rohn again, my favorite, right?
Yeah.
He says there's a million things you can do.
Yeah.
But most things in life, about a half a dozen things will really move the needle.
Yes. Yeah.
And focus on those.
Yep. 100%. It's so interesting, because it's like consistency is kind of the thoughts. The focus goes almost back. I kind of see it as the feeling. You know what I mean? Your focus is what you're feeling in that place of the determination, knowing what you got to do, feeling good, and staying in that consistency as often as you can, And
that feeling is a secret book. It's a really, really short book.
Yeah.
And I've listened to it, and it's a very deep book too.
It really is. Yes.
It's something you can't just listen to it and be done. Yeah, it's going to take repetition to really totally understand what that means. That feeling is a secret.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, 100%.
I end this here. I can't wait to dig into this.
It's really interesting what you said there within that. The repetition is that people don't realize this. If you're not at the right frequency, let's say, hey, you hear this great piece of advice at this year, but you're not at the right place. You might hear the same piece of advice years later, and now it sinks in because you weren't at the right feeling, at the right. That's why, again, it's so important that you get it together. I never like to do anything quickly, but in that case, you want to try to really get yourself together in a manner where it's like, okay, I'm going to be focused. I'm really going to try to
remind yourself every day. I mean, and if you make a mistake, don't okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Just, hey, I slipped.
Yeah. You slipped.
Right. Get right back on the horse and right back on what's your main focus. Because we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to slip. We're going to have setbacks. We're going to have time of doubt. We're going to have, times where we may have setbacks. But if we just continue to remind ourselves, feeding that good stuff, because this is just such of a powerful message that we have here. And it just fits in perfectly with this power of influence, because most people are having bad influence in their life.
Yeah, big time. Absolutely. Yeah. It goes back to what you're saying, that frequency, what you frequently say, what you frequently hear, frequently see. Frequently see and frequently
is an energy, but it's what you're frequently
seeing, saying, because then your subconscious mind is then creating that. And you can, the more you get into this, you can actually really start to see people in a different way, where you're like, whoa, this person this is a bad influence. This person's really not in a good place. This person's not good for me. And that's a hard thing. People get stuck in the familiar. I know it's not good. I know they're not, but I know, but we have
and it's
history.
In relationships.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time. Yeah. That's that's one of the biggest things I focus on with clients is relationships. And so many, they're stuck in the wrong relationship, a really bad relationship, sometimes abusive, but it's familiar. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well, there's always an excuse. They give an excuse, and it's like, no, if it's bad,
and life just moves, just keeps clicking away, and you're wasting it.
Yeah,
you're
wasting the hardest part.
Being stuck in these, and it's not easy. To take and make those tough decisions that that you need to make.
Yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah. I'll say this to you. The other side's always going to be better. Like when you just do it, everyone's afraid. Oh, what if I do? I just don't know what it's like if I post this and then people say this, or what if I fail? Like, so many people are afraid to even start because they're afraid of what if I get embarrassed? What if I fail? I look even worse than if I didn't try. But it's the exact opposite. Like you got to go for it. You have to freaking go for it. And it's just crazy because in this day and age, it's almost impossible not to make something of yourself when it's on social media. I mean, there's not saying to do it, but like there's so many bad distractions. There's so much kind of brain dead, stupid content out there, but that does well. And some people actually make a living at that. Hey, and that's awesome to them. If they're doing good with them, that's awesome. I wouldn't recommend watching some stuff because it's just kind of a waste, but you know what I mean?
Like, well, it's a frequency.
Yeah, it's a frequency.
You're frequently watching the wrong stuff. You're going to, get the wrong result.
100%. But in that, there's just, you can't lose if you're really trying your best. I truly do believe that. If you try your best, and there's a big difference. A lot of people, you know the difference between trying your best and saying, oh, I tried my best. You know the difference when you really try and you just give it your all. If you do that, you can't lose because you did it. You did it. You tried this hard.
And I think sometimes being honest with yourself, right? When you want something, do you really want it?
Yeah,
right. I mean, ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And this happened early on in my life with one of my mentors. His name was Todd Smith. And he said, when, somebody tells me they want something, and then he'll ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you really want that?
Yeah.
And if they say anything less than a 10, you're likely going to abandon it.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a great way to gauge any situation.
Yeah.
Because kind of going back even to the reaction, we live in the day of entitlement, but also impulsiveness of like, oh, well, I want this now. I want the instant gratification. Let me get the impulsiveness to it. Again, do you really want that thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take some time to really think of what would life be like doing this, having this, being in this place, being in that place, and you can really say, okay, this is cool, and the more you get to really know yourself, that's when you're happiest. The worst is doing things because you think people will like you or people will somehow see you in a different way.
Yeah, and I've fallen in that trap many times.
Same, and it's the worst because then you realize, damn,
trying to please others versus yourself.
I please everyone else, and I didn't really want this, and it's a terrible freaking feeling. So it's best you gotta do you. You gotta know what you want to do, and you do you all the way. You're gonna have people that will resonate with your frequency, and you have people that don't. I heard that's a great saying. I heard that the more that you just be at the frequency you want to be, and you be fully authentically you will quickly get rid of the people that aren't for. Like you'll see quickly who's for you, who you want to be around, and that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Why kind of just wait around saying, oh, I hope everybody likes me? No.
Yeah.
You're gonna have people that love you. You're gonna have people that hate you, and that's good. It's good. It's good to know who's really on your side within things, and who you can relate to.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Well, we're way out of time here, but we'll have to do this again sometime because I really enjoyed this, and I definitely want to. What's the name of that place at Blue? At
Fontaine Blue, and it's the Poodle Room.
The Poodle Room.
Yeah, incredible.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
I'd love to. Let's do it together.
Yes, that would be amazing. That would be awesome.
I want to do that. So, this has been fantastic, guys. The power of influence. If you listen to this podcast right here, this interview right here, and really, internalize it, take it in.
Yeah.
Completely turn your life around. I promise you.
You freaking got this.